I want to start off this video real quick with a short little apology, because for those of you that are subscribed, you may have noticed that back in November I started this new series where I basically was talking about the DCU, this new universe under the head of James Gunn, and I fan casted a lot of the heroes in this universe, heroes I wanted to see, actors I wanted to see in those roles. And it was a two-part series. I did a part one and a part two, and there was supposed to be a part three where it was going to be all about the villains of the DCU that I was going to fan cast. And I remember in my part two saying like, oh, I'll have that up in like a day or two. It's now next year, and that video did not happen. So that video is now this. It's I basically ended up scrapping the idea because it'd been so long and I kind of lost interest in it. But then I got an idea of a way to sort of shape this into something a bit more relevant and more interesting for me. And in fact, I'm actually splitting this into two separate videos, which I know that's probably a bad idea saying that now. For all we know, it's gonna happen again, and I'm just never gonna do part two. But fingers crossed, that actually happens. But here at least is part one, where we are talking about the Legion of Doom in the DCU. Now, obviously, in the DCEU, we almost got the Legion of Doom. It was set up in Justice League, so one of the reasons we didn't get it, the other being that the DCEU is dead, and we rebooted again. But anyway, we got that post-credit scene in Justice League where Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor showed up with Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke and said, "Oh, shouldn't we have a league of our own?" And that got me excited because I love the Legion of Doom. I love just in general villains, particularly villain teams. That's why I really want to see the Sinister Six done in live action over in the Spider-Man movies. And one of the reasons I love the Suicide Squad movies, I just love villains and I love villain teams. And so I really want to see a Legion of Doom. And in fact, I was so obsessed and excited with the idea of the Legion of Doom in the DCEU, that I was, for reference, I was in middle school at the time when that first Justice League movie came out, and I was so hyped about it. I remember in my middle school art class, we had just gotten a project right after that where basically we got this big sheet of paper and we were tasked with drawing and designing a movie poster, creating an idea for our own movie and creating the poster for that film. And the movie I made a poster for was Justice League versus the Legion of Doom. And I remember using this image specifically because I would go on Google and just Google DCEU Legion of Doom, and a whole bunch of photos like this and this would pop up, and again just got me so incredibly excited. And I traced them onto this poster, and I had Bizarro in there as well, and I'll talk about that more in a little bit. But I was just so excited and so hyped about this idea. Then, of course, that never happened. In fact, I don't think I even actually finished that project. I really wish I had it now because I would finish it. I don't really want to restart it because it's not the same. Nostalgic value and all that, but it was pretty cool. And we now later have found out that even though that post-credit scene was in Justice League and not Zack Snyder's Justice League, we do know that in Zack Snyder's original plans for this Justice League trilogy, he did plan to have a version of the Legion of Doom in either part 2 or part 3. We've seen now official concept art of this team right here with, of course, Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor, Ocean Master and Black Manta, Captain Cold, Dr. Poison from Wonder Woman, and randomly Riddler as well. So that could have been cool, but I'm glad we didn't get this version of the team because it's a really weird adaptation, and it's also in that post-apocalypse version of the Justice League world, so I mean, it was weird. But anyway, I'm still really excited about the Legion of Doom, and I hope that now we are in a rebooted universe, the DCU, we're kicking it off strong, that we can have a Legion of Doom at some point here. Honestly, I think that's the best way to go about doing a first Justice League movie. I don't know when we're getting our first Justice League movie in this DCU, but whenever we do, I think it's a much stronger idea rather than going back and straight into Steppenwolf and or Doomsday or whatever that case may be. You start with the Legion of Doom, especially if you want to do. I mean, we know the chapter's called Gods and Monsters, so it doesn't really lean into this theory. But personally, I think it would be really cool for this chapter or this saga of the DCU to each movie builds up a member of the Legion of Doom and therefore also the Justice League as well. So we're going to go through, talk about this, and build our Legion of Doom for the DCU. Kicking it off, of course, with confirmed, we have Nicholas Hoult as our Lex Luthor in the DC universe. We got our first glimpse of him in the teaser trailer for Superman, a casting I'm personally very excited about. We don't know if he'll get the mech suit in this film, but if/when we have a Legion of Doom team up, I want this thing. I want that green and purple on his body. But speaking of Superman, though, I mentioned Bizarro previously, and I think this won't happen because of what we know is happening in Superman, where we believe Lex Luthor is creating Ultraman. But anyway, back in middle school when I was making that poster for this Justice League Legion of Doom movie, my idea of the plot was that obviously it was the Justice League fighting the Legion of Doom, but Lex Luthor was creating Bizarro in that movie. So that I think would have been cool. Again, I don't think it would happen in the DCU because of what's happening is such a similar story in Superman. But if/when we get Bizarro in the DCU, I say let's cast David Cornsweet. I know. Out of the box, am I right? But another confirmed casting, and kind of what sparked me into thinking of this idea, our second big known villain of the DCU is Sinestro. Yesterday, 2 days ago at the time you're watching this video, we got the official casting of Ulrich Thompson as Sinestro in our Green Lantern series for HBO Max. As I mentioned in that video, I'm not familiar with the actor, but the fact that we're getting Sinestro in this series, and it's even been said that Sinestro's already a villain in this series. He's already betrayed the Green Lanterns, which makes sense because Hal Jordan is already on the older side. Sinestro, this actor, is on the older side. But maybe he'll be a big villain to Jon Stewart in the series and then therefore go on to be a part of the Legion of Doom, which I'm really excited about. Now, Wonder Woman, we know, is coming at some point. We know the Paradise Lost series is in development. I want Cheetah, and I want Cheetah done well, because Wonder Woman 1984 was so bad. Kristen Wiig was terrible casting in that role. The design of the character was terrible. Like, my God, just give us a cat creature like this. Look, I don't know how they made her look so bad, but I want Cheetah. I really want her as a part of this. I think she's the perfect counterpart for Wonder Woman on this team. Now, also bringing up our counterpart to Aquaman, which of course is a character we don't know if/when he will be in the DCU. I'm assuming it'll be a while, just considering he was the last movie of the DCEU, and Jason Momoa is coming back, but this time as Lobo. So I don't know when we will get Aquaman, but I think, inevitably when we do, Black Manta should be his counterpart for the Legion of Doom. Now, The Flash. Very similar boat. We don't know when/if. It'll probably be a while. Probably a very different version that's not Ezra Miller. But I really want to see Captain Cold. Captain Cold is a great character, one of my favorite Flash villains. I loved Wentworth Miller as the character on the Flash TV series on the CW, as well as Legends of Tomorrow. But to bring Captain Cold into a bigger scope on the big screen this time, obviously somebody like Reverse Flash would be great to see as well. Maybe as the main villain of the Flash solo movie. But I think, Reverse Flash doesn't really work well on a team setting, especially with Lex Luthor. Too many big minds on the team wouldn't be a great idea. So I think bringing in Captain Cold as the Flash counterpart, and Joel McHale is an actor that I wouldn't mind seeing in the role. I think he'd be a nice fit, but who I think would be even better, Walton Goggins. I think he's just such a great actor and so great at playing villains specifically. Get him as Captain Cold. Now, Deathstroke, I think, would be a great counterpart to Batman. Similarly to, obviously, that's why they were setting him up in the DCEU. We don't know a whole lot about the DCU Batman. We know he exists. We know we're getting Brave and the Bold. Deathstroke may even be in that movie, which is really exciting. Joe Manganiello may potentially even be returning to the role. Also very exciting. And so yeah, I just think he would be really great filling that role for the DCU Batman villain on the Legion of Doom. Now we do have the Joker as well, of course, who I don't think should be a member of the Legion of Doom, but I do love in the Justice League animated series how Joker was never invited to be a part of that team, but he just inevitably shows up, and that's happened plenty of times in the comics as well, where he's not officially a member of the team, but he just shows up anyway. He somehow finds out about it, and I would love to see something similar to that. If/when we're introduced to a Joker in the DCU. Now, real quick, I just want to shout out Mr. Mxyzptlk. I would love this casting right here. This was a part of my initial just general DCU villains of fan casting video, but now I've split it into Legion of Doom and Batman villains. Yeah, he didn't fit in either, so I just tossed him right here. Give me some Mr. Mxyzptlk in live action. That feels like a James Gunn character, so I'd love to see that maybe in Superman 2, potentially. So yeah, guys, that is my Legion of Doom for the DCU. Again, it's kind of, it's hard to really pinpoint and plot out all these characters because we don't know who's going to be on the Justice League. We don't know which villains they're going to use in the DCU. Obviously, the DCU, technically, it did officially start with Creature Commandos, but we haven't started on the movie side of things, and there's tons of other great villains I would love to see in here. Again, I'd love to see a Reverse Flash. I would love to see maybe a Giganta. Bane, I think, would be fantastic. Brainiac, some other Batman villains like Scarecrow, maybe, that we'll talk about in that separate video. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking about some Batman villains in the DCU. Again, if I make that video, we'll see, hopefully. But anyways, guys, for now, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you hope we get the Legion of Doom in the DCU? And if so, which characters do you want to see a part of that team? So thanks so much for watching. Please drop a like if you enjoyed this video and hit the subscribe button so I keep up to date on everything that goes on in the DC life.